Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Well Below Average podcast with Nick and Adam. I'm Adam, and Nick is probably right there. I'm going to go with right there. Hedging my bets. How you doing today, Nick?
I'm doing good. Are we in together mode on the? Can the viewers see this?
It says it's been enabled. I don't think we're in it. I don't think we're in. I think we're just.
That's
side
what
by
I.
side.
I mean, that's what I see. I wonder if. Well, I guess we'll find out when we put the show out. But yeah, we are just hanging out. But I'm doing good. Glad to be back for another week, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. Because what I'm looking at is it looks like we're on like some amphitheater steps, like in a forest, on some rocks or something.
I just see us.
Let's see.
I
Let's
just
see
see
if I
you.
can change it on my end. Oh, there we go. I changed it. So I wonder if it was something on my end. Anyway, now people will think I'm doing drugs. So there we go. I'm not. Don't do drugs. They are not good. That's our endorsement for the week. Anyways, back to the show.
Well, so we got a good show today. We're going to talk some news as always. I have dogs that are trying to a gang turf war in my house between dogs and cats. Have another pizza story. I'm going to give a Venom review, and we'll talk about beforehand whether I want to do spoilers or not. Obviously, we will recap the NFL happenings today. It is Sunday. On the news, I know you said no more animal stories, so I was thinking about it. I was putting together all this, and I said, I know Nick don't want animal stories. So what I did is I did all animal stories again. So
great, I'll take it. And you sneaking in animals outside of the news. So this is turning into an animal podcast. All about animals. That's our new podcast name.
So, but let's get into our sponsors, and let me. I'll start off this time with what's it called? Local Menace, the Dallas-based streetwear brand hell-bent on destroying your wardrobe. They have, this is my favorite shirt. Nick has a shirt I've been collecting dust at my house he needs to come get.
Yeah, I need to get that.
They're classic.
I need to get it.
But Local Menace is Dallas-based, artist-owned. Justin, the owner, is a fantastic artist. I'm actually going to have him revamp my own business logo here whenever he answers my call. But yeah, just a fantastic clothing brand. The t-shirts, they got their hoodies up now. I really want one of those. Hats, beanies, pendants, stickers, everything. You know, it's very captures that Dallas vibe. But check them out at localmenace.com and use the code BEARDCREW for 25% off. That gets you a quarter discount. 25% off discount on your order, and it lets them know we sent you. And math did not do me well that time. But yeah, localmenace.com.
And then also Rodeo Coffee, small batch roasted coffee right here in Fort Worth. Adam and I are big fans of the Costa Rican blend, but they have, or Colombian blend, excuse me. Colombian. The Costa Rican blend is their newest blend. It's a little more, what's the word I'm looking for, complex. The Colombian blend is a great, coffee to drink every single morning. You can have multiple cups of it. You can find them on Instagram, on Facebook. They're all over the place. They were in Benbrook today at the Farmers Market. They're in Burleson a lot. So look them up on Instagram. Check them out on Facebook, Rodeo Coffee. And you mentioned hoodies and coffee, perfect fall weather. The high today in Fort Worth, 86 degrees, Adam. What is the temperature that is acceptable, or maybe not acceptable, but what temperature for you are you throwing on the hoodie? You'll wear it or maybe even around the house. I love wearing them at home. I'm relaxing at home. I have some athletic shorts and a hoodie. I think that's perfect, just lounging clothes. But what temperature? Because it's October 3rd as we record this, and it's still pretty warm. Can't quite bust out the hoodie yet, or can we?
I don't know. It's getting down to the 60s in the evenings and early mornings, overnight. I'm t-shirt and shorts guy 24/7, 365. Like literally when we had the Snowmageddon, and I was in t-shirt and sweatpants and wore socks in the house. Um, I'm just, I choose comfort over correct climate gear or
But I feel like
clothes.
the hoodie is the perfect compromise.
Yes.
Hoodies are incredibly comfortable. It's a little too warm though, because the thing about the hoodie is this: once you put it on, like if it's not cold enough, you're going to get hot, and you have to take it all the way off. Like the zip, you can unzip it and wear it unzipped. Kind of gives you that middle ground. But Local Menace has a bunch of great hoodies, and that pairs well with coffee. So check out our those two sponsors, Local Menace and Rodeo Coffee, for all of your fall needs, I guess, if we have a fall here. Whatever
I think,
we want to call it.
yeah, it's gonna get in the 90s next week, so it's back to summer. So yeah, but yeah, check those guys out. So I have a little bit of an issue, besides my thumb drive continues to say and it's disconnecting and pull it out there. So we have a bit of a turf war on our hands here at the old Ish household.
Okay.
So we have 3 dogs. We have an old beagle who doesn't care about anything, a rat terrier, the only female animal, and she's a bit high strung. And then we have our puppy, who's the largest of them all, and he is scared of his own shadow. Then we have 2 cats they're about 8-9 months old right now, getting a little bigger, much more, very comfortable around the house now. They have their own little routine. But the last week or so, our rat terrier, rat terriers are not very big dogs, but they're kind of aggressive, has rubbed her bad influence off on our puppy, our oldest. Well, he's about 3 years old, our big dog, and they have been like ganging up on and like hunting down the cats. And our big dog, like, he still acts scared, but when Tina, our terrier's around, he gets really bold and he'll growl and bark at them. Even to the point like where they will surround the kitty litter box because it's got a dome over it, and
my gosh,
like stare at the cats through the top opening and growl at them while they're doing their business. So,
I mean, did the cats like swipe at them, hiss at them, anything?
Well, our black cat, the smallest cat, and he's a runt. He's got an attitude too. He's definitely like when the dog's passing him, he'll like hiss and swipe unprovoked. But yeah, I think it's gonna come to a head. I'm kind of hoping our cats, because we've had older cats before, with our rat terrier, and she pulled that. The cat boxed her up a little bit, never had a problem. So I'm thinking because these cats haven't whipped her tail, she's still feeling bold.
What happens at night when everyone's like asleep? Do the dog sleep somewhere, the cat sleep somewhere, or is it just all out lore?
They're all out in there, and I haven't heard anything. The cats usually sleep on the chairs under the kitchen table, and the dogs will sleep on the couches. But the last couple of nights, we have baby gates to kind of corral the animals, the dogs. So we keep the baby gates shut in the living room. Because we have like a living room, and then we have kind of like a kids area room, and then so we'll isolate those 2 rooms so the dogs can't get to the cats. The cats have a place to go. In case something happens, they can escape in there. So yeah, it's there's some turf war going on. I don't know. Maybe I need to establish myself as the dominant male.
Yeah, you need to be the authority figure and all that. I've always wondered, just multiple animals, how the balance goes. In the circle of life, and everyone's got their authority or what they think. What animal is the head of the household, all that stuff. And the beagle just hangs out, doesn't really care either way.
No, he sleeps most of the time. He's a 12-year-old, really chunky. He gets up on the couch and he sleeps, unless he wants to eat or go outside.
Just hangs out, doesn't care about whatever's going on.
So he's a cool dog. He's actually taught the other 2. He's housebroken all those other 2 dogs. because he lets you know when he wants to go outside, and the other dogs have picked up, and so they let you know now, kind of the same way he does. So I want to keep this chain going, as as the dogs go, get a new dog, and they kind of all. So
there you go. Well, keep us updated on the turf wars.
I will.
What's going on?
Definitely. But let's get into our news. And again, like I said, you said no dogs, no animals, but we're going animals. And
let's see. What do I have to explore here? I'm just gazing through the headlines. Let's see. But go ahead.
All right. So the first one I've titled "Big Bad Dog." The headline this is from Fox News. Brian Laundrie manhunt. Dog the bounty hunter says keep tips coming in case. The dog bounty hunter says keep tips coming in case it's touched millions. So Dog the bounty hunter is on the trail of Brian Laundrie, who is on the run for the murder of Gabby Petito, the missing hiker.
Yeah.
So, you're familiar with the story?
Yes. And the only reason I want to explore it is because I want to hear, do we really think Dog the bounty hunter is doing anything? Maybe he's donating money, but doing anything to help further the case, further the search for, this Brian Laundrie, the main suspect here.
Apparently he's saying he found a campsite and he's found evidence and he is hot on his trail, and that he's basically guaranteeing he'll catch the guy. That
Do you buy it?
Do I buy it? I don't know. This is interesting. Would you take Dog or the field, the law enforcement field, or Dog the bounty hunter?
I would take the law enforcement field personally. I think Dog the bounty hunter's kind of, but he's a TV character.
He is.
This is like I don't know, any movie you ever see where the hero is not actually a hero, he's just a hero on TV, and the kids are like, "Come on, help us," and he's like, "I don't actually I can't actually do anything," And all jokes aside, I hope they find him. I hope there's some answers and some justice for her family. I can't imagine, and if he's truly the one who committed the crime, then I hope he's found. But at the same time, Dog the bounty hunter, I don't know. I'd love to be proven wrong. It'd be great, but I'm not holding out hope that Dog is the one that's going to bring this case to an end.
Oh yeah, I don't either. I don't know. I think he's just. I think sadly he's just trying to take advantage of the situation for his own, to kind of get his star to rise some more, because he's kind of he got a little trouble for racisms not too long ago.
I don't know. I know we got in trouble for something, but I'm not exactly positive. But good on him, I guess, for getting out there. But I don't think he's doing much.
Yeah. So let's get her. I don't really care who, or get him. But next story, Tiger 2, another animal story. Go ahead.
Let's explore this. We'll explore this one.
Okay, Tiger King Season 2 premieres November 17th.
I was hoping this was it. I was hoping the headline was a little bit deceiving and that it was actually 2 as in Season 2. I am excited for Tiger King Season 2. I hate that I'm excited. Not that either one of them is a good person, but I am all team Joe Exotic here. Carol Baskin can get out of my face. And Joe, looking forward to watching you on Season 2. And I'm sure we'll get a lot of it, I'm sure, was in Fort Worth because he's been in jail. So, shout out to Fort Worth and to our podcast. Maybe we'll get a little extra attention there. But yeah, I'm super excited. The first season was at the very beginning of the pandemic when everyone was actually quarantining, staying home. And I it probably would have been popular despite that. But because of that, it just exploded. And it was really good at the beginning, and it got kind of boring, I thought. But I'm excited for the second season.
Yeah, I am too. I watched it, enjoyed it. Now here's an interesting question that's popped in my head. Cage fight. Joe Exotic, dog. Who wins? Tiger King or the dog?
I think Tiger King, only because I don't trust him. Like, I mean, he's not playing by any rules. He's not. There's no such thing as a dirty hit, a dirty anything. He's pulling out all the stops. I think he's. I mean, if it's to the end, he's the one coming out of there. That's what I
All
think.
right. I kind of think so too. And more drug talk. He's kind of got that like drug addict, like
Yeah.
all this stuff that apparently he's given all his boyfriends meth. Um, that yeah. So he got to get that in there. Like they say in the movies, you
And
ain't catching no crackhead.
and then he ran. Didn't he run for governor of Oklahoma or something like that?
Yeah, maybe even
I'm.
president. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we don't stray from politics on this show, so that just shows how much how what's the word I'm looking for? Legitimate our political system is. Joe Exotic
There
running
you go.
for political office. But yeah, I'm excited for the second season. I will definitely watch it and probably hate myself for doing so.
All right. Next story. I've got to call it Apocalypse Flea, but this is a real animal story. Students left covered in fleas after apocalyptic infestation shuts down 2 schools.
Hmm. Kind of grosses me out a lot. I'm gonna snore it because it's too gross for me. Just the image of being
Yeah.
covered in fleas. I will snore that one.
So when I lived in when I was in the military. I lived in San Diego for the most part, and a friend of mine asked me like, "Hey, can you go like look at some house?" He had to work and asked me to go with his wife to look at houses. They wanted to rent some houses. Walk in the house, I'm looking around. It's kind of not a very great house. I mean, it seemed pretty clean. I'm walking out. I go to scratch my leg as we're getting into the car. From my knee down to my ankle on both legs was
Oh
covered in
man.
fleas. I was
Oh
like,
my
oh, and
gosh.
she's like, don't get in my car. And we're like, side of the road, knocking fleas off of me. Yeah, it was bad.
So like, what do you do for that? Like I'm sure there's some sort of medicine or cream or lotion or
I mean,
something that you have to.
we got them all off me. I never had a problem. I mean, with the dogs, we have like a pill we give my dogs, but yeah. I mean, that's the first time I've been covered in fleas, and probably the last. I hope.
Ugh, gross. Yeah,
All right,
not a
so
fan of that.
dog sings with friends. Next story. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar have been signed on for the Super Bowl halftime show in February.
We can explore this. I don't think it'll be too long.
No?
Pique your interest at all?
It does, because, I was 90s kid. I was, Snoop Dogg came out. I was 12, 13 years old. It was big. Um, don't know much about Kendrick Lamar. Mary J. Blige was never my thing. But yeah, Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem was huge when I was in high school.
I think they're really spanning across quite a few generations with this. Like Kendrick is pretty popular, not pretty popular, very popular now. Eminem kind of spans across multiple. Snoop Dogg sort of the same thing. Though I would argue that like his music is not all that popular with people that are much younger, but they know who he is. So I would rather them do this, I think, than like old Rolling Stones, that's like in their mid 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
But like, because I think about people like my wife who watches the Super Bowl because she wants to see the commercials, like it's an event, and like the weekend, did the halftime show, and she was excited, like she watched it, wanted to see how how it went, and I think they're trying to grab like the casual viewer a little bit more. Not that anyone, like the majority of people watch the Super Bowl because they're going to a party, they're having friends over, just, the commercials. It's more than a game, but maybe they're trying to grab a little bit more with the halftime show. All that said, I don't really care. Like, I'm not too into it, to be honest. It's a little more exciting because it's more relevant, but overall, like, I can take it or leave it.
I I'm not a big fan of the Super Bowl halftime period. I don't like waiting longer between halves. I'm watching the
Mm,
game.
yeah,
Commercials are
same.
funny, sure, yeah, but it's like, yeah. But it is cool. Yeah, I like it. I kind of like that they're mashing it up like this. I'd like to see more stuff like this, kind of pick a genre and kind of span over a 20-year period. I
Hmm.
think that's kind of a cool thing that they
It's it's
maybe moving forward.
it's kind of crazy to me that it's the Pepsi halftime show because like in Texas, like Pepsi is not around. Like it is not popular. I like it. Like I enjoy Pepsi personally, but it's weird to think like it's just not that popular of a soda, soft drink. Are we in the minority here? Like, is it huge? I know, like on the East Coast, it's a little bit bigger, but like, are we missing out? Like, are we in the minority in Texas that we don't drink much Pepsi?
It's big with Hispanic people. So my wife's Hispanic, and Pepsi really pushed in the Hispanic population. So it's pretty big with that. Because they had the big marketing Pepsi C, SIC, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it's big in certain areas. I mean, obviously it's not big as Coke, but I think it's probably bigger nationally than Dr Pepper.
Oh,
Um,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
which
like,
is
I would
Dr
definitely agree with
Pepper's
that.
definitely a Texas popular, way too popular in Texas. Dr Pepper's okay. I like. How do you feel? Dr Pepper, Pepsi, Coke.
Coke is probably well, it depends. Like just the classic soda of each of them. Coke is number one for me. Dr Pepper and Pepsi are pretty much the same, but I like Coke the most. But if we're doing like what I drink now, because I'm a dad, I drink like zero sugar, and so like Pepsi Zero is my favorite, and then the Dr Pepper Zero Sugar, which is pretty new, is actually pretty good. Like if you're gonna do zero sugar, and then Coke Zero is solid as well. But if I'm doing zero, it's probably Pepsi first. But like regular Pepsi is just kind of too sweet for me, and Dr Pepper's kind of the same way. Um, so Coke is like a regular classic Coke is a guilty pleasure of mine for sure.
Yeah, I don't drink much soda, period, but it's Dr Pepper's kind of my main go-to. Just I don't know. I grew up
Yeah.
on it. So.
I used to like it way more when I was younger. I drank it a lot when I was younger. I still like it, but just not as much.
All right, so that's our last story, I believe. Well, not really. Here's one. Oh, there it is. Prez gripe. Last one. Everybody's frustrated. It's a little political stuff with Biden. Just kind of talk about your thoughts. The story's really focusing on the big infrastructure bill that he's the 3.5 trillion. I guess both sides are kind of frustrated. Democrats is
Yeah.
not pushing hard enough. Yeah.
So
Floor
a
one.
couple of things. Alex, we can explore it. A couple of things, real quick. I don't pretend to be an expert on politics, but I do know a couple. I do have a couple thoughts. Infrastructure clearly needs to be upgraded, improved, worked on. Right?
Yeah.
I say this tongue in cheek. We've all seen I-35 like through Waco. Clearly needs to be worked on. The other thing is this: like 3.5 trillion. That's like money that I can never even think of. And you most of the time, one side is saying the deficit. You know, like we're already at a big hole. Here's my biggest thought on money when it comes to the government. It's made up. Doesn't matter. We've been in this much debt for how long now? Like as long as I can remember. Like since I started following any politics through, 3 administrations now. Nobody's like we don't have to pay it back. Like nobody's foreclosing on our country. What
Yeah.
does it matter, right? Made up. That's my thoughts on it. Will it happen? I don't know. Would it be good? Like, are there pros and cons? Sure. But when it comes to like the deficit, we'll go into too much debt. Who cares? Because money's made up anyway. Now, to get very political, I don't want to be taxed more for it, but I think the ultra rich maybe should be taxed a little bit more. But anyway, I'll leave that at that.
Yeah. I heard something. I'm going to butcher this. I probably shouldn't say it without looking at it more, but I was during the Clinton administration. We actually every year that he ended, we actually lowered our deficit to the point where we had a surplus. And then after Clinton left, we had a surplus for a couple of years. When George W. Bush came in, the some Republican congressmen, I forget which one specifically, wrote in new laws that if a surplus, basically making it where there's always going to be a deficit. That if there is a surplus, it has to be taken and spent immediately, or something like that. And then, so it's actually kind of hard to have a surplus. And even with Obama, our deficit went lower, 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 lower. And it's funny, basically the whole thing was Democrats have actually had a lower deficit consistently than Republicans, who always say, oh, we don't want to spend, but they typically spend significantly more.
It's all a mess, really.
Yeah.
But that's enough politics for today's show.
Yeah, my mom came over today. It was her birthday this weekend. That's my son's birthday Friday, too, by the way. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Happy late birthday.
Yeah. My mom came over and decided she wanted to talk politics, which is, talking politics with a boomer is always a headache.
Yeah, the roller coaster.
Yes, so let's get into that. My son's birthday was this weekend. We're going to get into our TV talk. Before we do, anything you're watching you want to talk about?
Survivor, of course. First couple episodes have been great. Hop on the bandwagon, everybody. Wednesday night, great show. Finishing, I've talked about the show before. It's on the CW, In the Dark. It's season 3. The first 2 seasons were very good. This season is a bit of a snore. I'm pretty much ready to give up on it. Ted Lasso is still great. The Morning Show, season 2, if you're an Apple TV person, is out. The first 2 episodes have also been kind of boring for that one. It doesn't help that we had to wait like 3 years for the second season. But that's really all I'm watching right now. Nothing crazy. Of course, I'm not a movie watcher. Sorry. But no movies right now. But yeah, just a couple different shows, but nothing that I'm like very much invested in.
Anybody, speaking of CW, here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 2 o'clock on Saturdays, friend of the show, Kevin Turner, has a Sports and Such on CW.
Yes.
Have you caught any of that yet?
No, I haven't. I've seen like clips and things, but I haven't caught a full. I usually am working at that time. If I'm working, I work a couple Saturdays in a row, so I haven't been able to catch it. But I need to check it out because KT's great, and they're doing good stuff.
Yeah, very funny. I caught a couple of his monologues. He does some very John Oliver influenced stuff in there, but he pulls it off. He's a funny guy, really hitting a stride there. But it was my son's birthday on Friday, and for his birthday, 9th birthday, we took him to see Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Okay.
At probably my least favorite movie watching venue, the drive-in.
Least favorite?
Yes.
I hear from a lot of people how great the drive-in is. So I don't really have a Nick hates it. Is this going to be, are you hijacking, you're being the Carnage to my Venom here? Adam hates it here. Is that what this is?
We can do that. So we went to the movie. So this is what I don't like about it. I'll get into this first, then, I guess, since you set me up. It is so like, okay, the big thing is you're not supposed to have your headlights on, but you have to turn your car on every now and again to keep your battery from dying. So last time we went before Friday, our car died, and they have a little cart that'll drive through and jumpstart you and get you all going. We actually, we brought a boombox radio from the house, put the D batteries in it. We weren't going to use the car at all. That's fine, but like every time someone starts their car, they forget to turn their headlights off, and it shines on the screen. So, getting exhaust smoke. I stepped in an anthill. I got ant bites all up my leg. It's cool. We blew up an air mattress in the back of our van. Got to lay down and watch a movie, which is kind of neat.
And it's pretty cheap, right?
It's $5 per person. Yeah, it's fairly inexpensive.
And do you still get 2 movies?
Not since the pandemic, because there just haven't been that many movies released. So,
typically you would get a double feature with that.
Yes. We used to go a lot when the kids were smaller, when my kids were smaller. So, it's not terrible, but it is my least favorite way. Just a lot going on, it's you got cars starting, the time before last, somebody had their truck bed light on, and so it wasn't shining on the screen, but it was shining right in our eyes, right below the screen. So it's like watching like this, trying to block the light out. Um, you know, people smoking cigarettes.
How are the concession prices at drive-ins compared to your typical theater?
So I'll tell you, they're really high, but that's kind of the thing with them. They are like top notch. I mean, they have food trucks, they have their own concession, they have a little park. Um, there is kind of the hub in the middle is really cool. Like the food is great, but it is very expensive.
Because my wife and I went and saw a movie last weekend, first time in like over a year, and we shared popcorn. We both got a drink and got like a little entree, one of those theaters that has like food, and we spent like almost $50. It was ridiculous, and I mean it was fine, but it wasn't that good. And I remember like that's why I hate going to movies, because like for 2 tickets we even got them like cheaper because it was early in the day. It was still like $16 or something like that, and then plus the food, it would have been cheaper to go to like a restaurant across the street. But Adam hates the drive-in, and that means he hates nostalgia and America because he hates the drive-in.
That is correct, and that's the thing, and that's what I was like talking. I try to talk to my wife and kids about this, but they think I'm just a crazy old man. But it's like it seems like the only selling point is the nostalgia. Now it's cool
I would agree with that.
once in a while, but like, and we're gonna keep doing it as long as we're still keeping our distance socially, so it makes the most sense for us. But it is, it's a lot of effort, and that's part of it too. We have to take all the folding chairs and the air mattress, and you got to bring in all this and that and all the extra stuff. And 3 popcorns and 1 soda was $40 there, so I would say that was still pretty expensive.
Do they let you bring your own snacks?
They don't let you, but they don't search your car either.
So like you could, like like you're not supposed to, but nobody's checking.
Right.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So I mean, as long as you don't overdo it, I think it's okay. But yeah, that's my gripe on the drive-in. But Venom 2. So should I do spoilers or no?
I haven't even seen the first one, so I don't really care. You can preface it by saying spoilers, and then people can skip forward or stop. Don't stop watching. Maybe like skip 5 minutes just to be safe. Is that enough time for a Venom review? Okay,
that's fine. Let me note this so I can kind of be more on top of it. All right, so spoilers coming up here. Venom 2 was a great movie. Now, non-spoiler stuff to begin with. It's the shortest Marvel movie, 90 minutes.
Wow.
Which was kind of cool. It had a good pace. It didn't feel long. It didn't feel short. It told its story. Very clean. I enjoyed that part of it. Sometimes it could drag on. I went and saw the Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings, like 2.5 hours. There were some parts that really drug. It was like, okay, come on. So it's a much tighter window. Carnage is awesome. Like, they do that well. Woody Harrelson plays a serial killer very well. Cletus Cassidy. And essentially it's the story of Carnage. Carnage, the symbiotes, or whatever those things are, those aliens, will reproduce asexually, and they don't even know it. So, Carnage accidentally has a baby, and that baby Venom accidentally has a baby, and that baby's Carnage, and he's way stronger than Venom, and so they have to, like, really use their head and fight. Winds up having to team up with, they introduce a mutant, which is pretty big. They don't identify it as the character as a mutant, but the biggest thing, and the biggest spoiler, is the end credit scene. So there's different universe. So the MCU, like with the Avengers and all that, and the first Venom aren't the same universe. It's 2 different.
Okay.
They're not connected. Well, in the end credit scene, it connects them. Basically, all of a sudden, Venom and Eddie Brock are sitting there watching TV, and then just like light shines, and they're in a different, like they're in a hotel room, and all this different stuff. And then Tom Holland's Spider-Man appears on the TV, It's the very end of the last Spider-Man movie. Him being on TV, being identified, and yeah. So that's the big spoiler part. So we'll skip past that. I don't mean more. 2.5 minutes here. Yeah, it puts Venom in the main MCU timeline with like the Avengers and Endgame and all that.
Now, is Venom? Pardon my naivety here. Is Venom a villain?
He's an anti-hero, so he's Spider-Man's arch nemesis, but he's kind of good and bad. He just does what he wants. He's not all bad.
Okay, so like
He does eat people.
Spider-Man, like they're not like they're going against each other, but he's not necessarily like a villain out to ruin the world.
Yeah, and in the comic books, the reason they're such villains is because the symbiote Venom, the alien goo that is Venom, attaches himself to Spider-Man first.
Mm-hmm.
And then Spider-Man gets rid of him, and then he goes to Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock already hates Spider-Man in the comics. They're already arch enemies, and then the symbiote is mad because he got kicked off his symbiotes are like parasites. He got kicked off Peter Parker, went to Eddie Brock, and they both have a grudge against Peter Parker.
Can Eddie Brock control when he becomes Venom?
Not really.
Okay.
Kind of, but not really. And watch the movie. It is that symbiotic relationship. Part of the movie it is kind of like a buddy comedy because they're arguing with each other, and it's pretty funny because it's Eddie Brock walking around arguing with Venom, and they're like yelling at each other. And like this one scene, it's like he's walking into the prison to interview the prisoner, and they're arguing. And all people look at him funny, and then Venom says, "You suck," because he can hear him in his head. And yeah, Venom's like, "You suck," and then Eddie Brock, "You suck," and to like the security guard looks at him like, "Oh, sorry."
Now, did your son like the movie?
Oh, of course, yeah. He's real into that stuff.
So he gave it a good review. That's what matters. It was for his birthday, right? So that's what matters.
Yes. So, yeah. Right at 5 minutes. But yeah, good movie. I highly recommend. That ends our spoiler section. And, let's see. We have time before we get into sports for Tales from the Pizza Man, or do we want to push that back?
I'll leave it up to you. They're your tales. I will. I'll sit back and enjoy, or we can always do it next week.
Let's do it next week. Let's finish off as always in some sports. Week 4 in the NFL. We had some good times and some bad times.
Yeah, some real bad times, Adam. It's going to be a long year. I'm hoping for a top 10 pick for my Steelers. I'm a big fan of Matt Corral out of Ole Miss, their quarterback.
Not a Liberty guy? What's his name? Liberty?
What is his name? Maybe his first name's Malik. I might be butchering that. I don't know.
Wallace? I don't remember.
I mean, I truly don't know enough about any of these guys. I'm not a draft person, but Matt Corral seems like a fun guy, a fun quarterback. I'd also, you heard it here first, Well Below Average podcast, October 3rd. I would not be shocked if the Steelers quarterback next season is Jimmy Garoppolo. You heard it here. I would not be shocked. And he's just fine, but hear me out. They've got a lot of weapons. They've got a decent defense. Use the draft to restock the offensive line, some defensive pieces. Jimmy Garoppolo keeps you competitive with, Najee Harris, Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, those guys, and keeps you, because the Steelers are not about like being bad, like it almost in a bad way. Like they always think we're gonna, even this year, competitive, and he keeps you up there, like get you in the playoffs, been to a Super Bowl. Not saying it's going to happen, but I could certainly see it. But anyway, yeah, going to be a rough year. Hoping for a top 10 pick, I think, and we'll see if that happens. But Cowboys look good today. We could transition to the Cowboys second half, especially. First half was, I think, you can speak to this a little bit more. a little bit worrisome as far as the defense, but then the second half, offense really took over. Defense made some plays also.
I see Dallas. Yeah, they didn't look great in the first half. I think they did something that never happened with Garrett. Was they went in and evaluated themselves and adjusted at halftime. They had a great third quarter.
That's fair. I was actually driving for a good chunk of the fourth quarter, so I missed a lot of it. Third quarter, they were great.
Fourth quarter, they took Diggs out, who had 2 interceptions, 5 interceptions in 4 games. One of them returned for a touchdown. 2 interceptions this game. Parsons was on fire. They just played with their hair on fire. Even in the first half, their defense didn't look terrible. At times they did, but they came out halftime and adjusted. But Dallas built this huge 22-point lead, and then they took Diggs out. They weren't giving as many reps to Parsons, and there was like 12 minutes left in the game, and quickly gave up 14 points. Still won 36-28, won by 8, but it was just that concerns me is the team seemed to really relax offense and defense. They come out, run the ball a couple times, punt, and it was like they weren't throwing the ball. Dak had 4 touchdowns, but he didn't hit 200 yards. Now, the running game was amazing.
Zeke looks awesome. And that's the first time he's looked that good in, who knows how long, right?
It's a good run defense.
Yeah, that's true. I want to ask you this. So, Darnold, he is sort of, and it's only been 4 games, resurrected himself a bit from leaving the abysmal Jets organization, Adam Gase, all that. Seems like a decent quarterback. Are you? Is the jury still out for you on Sam Darnold? Do you think like he could be like a top half, maybe like Kirk Cousins, a little bit better quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, I think he could be good. I was happy to see him out of the Jets because I just think Adam Gase was such a bad coach. And it told me a lot when during the draft you still had Fields and Jones on the board, and Carolina went with who I think was the best corner, J.C. Horn, who's injured, unfortunately. Looks like he's probably out for the rest of the year. But yeah, that told me a lot about how they felt about him. But from day one, it was like, golly, he's got all the talent. And I've heard from people, and even going back when I'm kind of learning how to scout, is if you built a quarterback in the lab, it's Sam Darnold. He's got the size, he's got the arm strength, the accuracy, the footwork. He's got all the stuff. But I think he's going to get better under Matt Rule. I think as they get more weapons around him, DJ Moore, is that who it is? Yeah. He's good. He's really good. They get him a tight end. Help get the line a little bit. Christian McCaffrey. I think if the Panthers had Christian McCaffrey, I don't know how this game goes. That offense is way better with him.
And that guy, poor Christian McCaffrey, he just can't stay healthy.
No.
It's a bummer he missed that game. Elsewhere around the league, the Cardinals beat the Rams today. That was a big win. Kyler Murray looked good. What else happened? The Ravens dominated the Broncos, gave them their first loss.
And I kind of predicted that. Broncos won, the 3 games they're supposed to win, but they're playing real competition now.
The Chiefs smoked the Eagles, but their defense still didn't look great. That Chiefs defense is pretty suspect. Play against a good team. The Browns took them to the wire. Ravens beat them. Who else beat them last week?
Ravens beat them. Chargers beat them.
There we go. The Chargers, who play tomorrow night. What else? The Bills. Man, the Bills beat the Texans 40-0. The Texans are like in the running for worst franchise in the league. The Jets got a win today. Good for Robert Saleh. They beat the Titans, who look very overrated. The Lions lost again. Justin Fields got his first win. The Texans may have won a game, but they are in the running for worst franchise. Like, them are the Lions. And the Jaguars, we didn't even talk about this, the Urban Meyer video. Did you see this going around Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, they're 0-4 and blow a lead on Thursday night. Now Urban Meyer's prancing around with women on Saturday. So I think
Very young
they're
women.
going to be. That's the truth. We'll see what happens on the bottom portion of the league, but every week in the NFL, there's a storyline or something exciting, but Cowboys continue to impress. Who do they have next week? The Steelers play the Broncos at home. Probably will lose. So there's that.
Yeah. Next week, Cowboys play. I'm looking at it right now. Giants.
Oh yeah, that'll be a win.
Hold on, where are we at? They are going to be at home too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a win.
Yeah, the Giants did beat the Saints today. Got their first win of the year.
These teams are killing me on my pick 'em. Like, I thought Giants going to Saints, easy win, 10-point win.
Let me see. I think I did pretty well on my picks today. Let me pull up.
Terrible.
Let me pull up what I did here. Oh yeah, I so far I'm doing great. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I thought the Steelers would cover. Missed that one. I thought the Lions would cover. I missed that one. And then I picked the Falcons to cover, basically beat the football team, and just missed that one. But other than that, I've had a pretty strong day so far. I need Tampa Bay to figure it out here. They're only up 3-0 right now. But, yeah, good day so far for me in my picks against the spread. So come to me for all your gambling advice is what I'm saying.
I picked Rams to cover, 49ers to cover, who lost to the Seahawks. Looked a lot better today. Yeah, it just wasn't great. I picked Saints to cover at home. That didn't happen. It was just a train wreck this week. I thought I had them good. I even picked the Eagles and took the points because I just didn't think Kansas City's defense was that good, and I thought Eagles at home would come out a little more motivated than they did. So.
Yeah, the Eagles are a mess. They'll probably be in the market for a quarterback come draft time. I would think, unless they convince themselves, which I hope they do, that Jalen Hurts is the guy. I want the Steelers to have the pick of the litter there. But yeah, it's going to be a long season. A lot of interesting things happening.
So I worry about the Steelers. Is they have a good defense, and if they figure something out, I feel like the Steelers might be just good enough to fall out of the top 10. Like kind of like you've been saying, it just I could see them sneaking away with 7-8 wins.
So they haven't had a losing season in 18 years, and they've had some 8-8s, and of course this year that's not a possibility. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, so I could see them they start 1-5, 1-6, go on a little bit of a run. They're 4-5, 4-6, and then end the year 7-10 or whatever, 8-11, or 8-11. That doesn't work. 7-11.
Yeah.
Wait, what am I doing here? You win 7 games.
8-9.
7-10, 8-9. Yeah, 7-10, 8-9, and then they get the 15th pick or something like that. But I will say, I've already reading some mock drafts because I've got issues. A lot of these teams kind of have a quarterback. The Giants, I guess they could cut bait with Daniel Jones. The Jets, the Lions, I think, are somewhat committed to Jared Goff.
Trubisky and Dalton running around there next year.
Oh gosh,
I love that look.
I could. What I think would probably happen over getting a quarterback is they use the draft, reboot the offensive line a little, do the defense, and then get some sort of a veteran guy. I don't think. They act
it's
like
magic.
They act like they believe in Mason Rudolph. I don't think that's the case. So we'll see, but it's going to be a long season. It'll just get worse every week for me. I'll be in a worse mood. So really fitting for the Well Below Average podcast. My well below average mood every single Sunday.
See, I feel like a guy like Gardner Minshew would fit real good with Pittsburgh. I think he's got the right mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be open to it because he'd be better than whatever's going on right now. That's for sure. And it's sad because Big Ben has been awesome for most of my fandom. Won them Super Bowls, broken a lot of records, like won a lot of games, been great, but he just looks awful. And I know he didn't want to go out on a really ugly playoff loss, but kind of would have rather that happened at this point. So we'll see if something changes, but my hopes aren't high.
Well, yeah, it's a long season, longest season ever. So many things can change, but what will never change is how well below average we are. Anything before we get out of here?
I do not have anything else. Have a great week, everybody. And don't go to the drive-in, according to Adam.
Don't go all the time. But I want to thank our sponsors, Rodeo Coffee, Speared Works, and Local Menace. Yeah, check all of them out. And yeah, until we see you next time, stay above average.
God, that man is well below average.